Yeah, so these are what we are going to work on, and I hope we are going to complete it today. If not, then we are going to handle the second one tomorrow. Nothing much on this thing. We don't even need to spend much of our time, but you know, due to questions and other things that can come in, so we might need to do this other one tomorrow. But for today, we are going to see how to handle user click events. And what are we trying to do here? So what we want to do is that anytime you click on this button plus one, it's going to increase the value by one that you are seeing here. Currently it's zero right now, but if you click on this up later on, by the time we include our JavaScript, it's going to increase the value by one. So if the value here is 4, it means if you click on this button, it will change to 5. And if you click on it again, then it will change to 6, and so forth like that. And if the value here is like 10 and you click on this down, then it will remove 1 from the value. So which means this stuff here is going to be 9. So we want to see how we can do something like this. And the knowledge that you're going to gain from here is something that you can use on anything that they with click, because we want to see how to handle click. The same thing here too, that's something that we're going to learn from here, which is the input. How do you do with the input? So as the user is typing, we want to be able to get the content they are typing there, and we're going to display here. So whatever you are typing here, it will be coming out here live. So as you're typing, you'll be seeing the content here. So how do you do with something like this? Because something that you're going to see a lot on different sites, as you're typing, the stuff is actually doing something somewhere. So the same thing is what we want to do here, but we are going to work on the basic stuff, not just jump into the complex thing like that. For example, here, if I go back to this previous page on this site, look at this side here. So if I click on this drop down, it's going to bring out this search box. But look at this stuff here. As I'm typing from this place, can you see that everything I'm typing here, it's appearing here? So that's what we want to do today. We want to be able to see how to do something like this that this site is using. So if I type Abdurraqib here like this, or Abdu, or whatever stuff that I'm typing, if you look at down here, you see that it's putting the content. I'm typing here, but the thing is appearing here, and it's happening live. So as you're typing, it's showing inside that place. So we want to do something like this. So how do we handle something like this? So that's what the second application is going to base on. So we'll be typing here, and whatever we are typing from this box, we're going to see it inside this container here that I've prepared, and it's just H2 style to look like that. So I prepared some style down so that we don't need to worry ourselves about the styling stuff, because we have to focus on JavaScript part, not the styling part. So I have all these basic styles just for the content we have on the screen here. So we have the button to increase its value here, and we have this button to decrease the value here. Again, we have this input, and whatever you are typing here is going to appear inside this box. But we are going to start with the first one first, which is this first application here. So what do you want to do? So that's the first thing you need to know. You don't just jump into any code like that. You have to understand what you are, like this problem you are trying to solve. So you need to understand the problem. Then from there, you now come with the solution that is going to give you answer to that problem. So our problem here is that we have these two buttons, and these two buttons needs to be able to update the value that we have here. So if we click on this button, the value should increase, and if we click on this second button here, the value should decrease. And now is the structure of the page, nothing much from the HTML side. As you can see, I have this div with the class application 1, and inside it we have the content for this particular area. Again, I have this div for the application 2, which is the one that is holding everything inside this box. And inside the first one, which is this application 1, we have the H1, which is not doing anything, just the title of what we are trying to do there. And we have this H2, which is this box that you are seeing, and it's holding this text along with the span. So this span is what we need to update later on, the value inside it. So we need to update it, and we need to get a value. And we've talked about different methods that we can use to get the value or to update the content, but we want to put everything together to build this minimal application that we have here like that. And as you can see inside this btn group, I have two buttons, the button with this id up, and this one too with the id down btn. So, and the reason why I'm giving them this id is because I want to target them from JavaScript based on their id there separately. So I'm going to target this button, I'm going to target this button, and at the same time I'm going to target this span, because these are the three things that we need from here. But those are the things that is going to be doing the work, or that is going to solve our problem. So the first thing we need to do is to target this our span, because we need the span in order for us to update what is inside it. Don't forget, before you can change any content of any element, you need to have access to that element first in JavaScript. So we are going to target this span so that we can get its value, and based on what is there, we can now update it or decrease the value depending on the button that you are clicking here. So, and at the same time, we need to target these two buttons because they are the one that we're going to attach our event on, and that's why we said handling user click events. So once user click on this button, we want to undo the click, because right now the browser is just firing the event, but it's not doing anything with the event. So we need to talk to the browser that anytime someone perform this specific event on this element, we want something like this to happen. And what we want to do, if you click on the first button once again, it's going to increase the value here by 1. And if you click on this one, then it's going to decrease the value by 1. So that's the major thing that we want to do there, because that's the first thing you need to know. Once you have a particular stuff you want to do, you break it down, and once you break it down, then from there you follow everything step by step. The first thing we need to do is to target all these our element in JavaScript, because before you can add event to this button, or before you can update the value of this span, you need to have access to them from JavaScript, which is something that we talked about when we are dealing with the DOM there. So the first thing I need to do here is to target the span, which I'm going to call this counter here. Now this is a variable. You can call it anything you want. So yeah, I'm going to be calling it counter because anytime you are creating your variable, you should always match what you are trying to use this thing to represent there like that. So I'm going to use my document, then query selector. I told you I always use query selector to select my content on the page. And here, how do I get to that span? So you need to look at the structure, because based on the structure here, we determine what you are going to use to target this span here. If you like, you can use your span that is inside h2, or you can give the span a class, or you can give it id to target it, and that's what I'm going to do. So this span, I'm going to give it id, and the id is going to be counter. So I don't want to do any complex selector, so that's the reason why I'm giving them the id, and I can target each one of these elements through the id that we're giving to them there. So inside this h2 we have the span, and why am I putting the 0 inside span? Why not put it directly under h2? It's because I don't want to update this text. The only thing I just want to update is this value, and since I want to update only this value, that's the reason why I'm putting it in its own element, so that I can target this particular element and update whatever that is inside it without touching the other content that is inside h2. That's the reason why I'm using span here. So if you are updating span, there's no way it will be affecting this other content, because it will only affect what is inside the span then. So we need to target these three elements. The first one is this counter, the second one is this button up, and the second one is this button down. So here the counter, I'm going to target it based on its ID, which is going to be counter like this. So the other thing we need to target is the other button there, which is going to be btn up. So I'm calling it this variable. So here I'm going to call this query selector. What am I going to use? So I'm going to be using the ID of the btn up like this. Why am I using this? That's the ID on the button. Again, we need to target the second one too. Those are the stuff that we need. We don't need any other thing again on the page for this first stuff that we need to do. So yeah, I'm going to select this btn down, and it will be targeting this element with this particular ID. So what do you want to do? So you need to, again, when you want to work with JavaScript, you need to understand what you are trying to do.
What are we trying to do here? We have these two buttons. Anytime you click on any of these buttons, it's going to either increase or decrease the value based on the button that you click on. If you click on this one with the up text, then it's going to increase the value. And if you click the one with this down, then it's going to decrease the value. But how do you perform this action? We need to add events on our button. But before you add event on a button, you need to know the button that you want to add event on. And that's the reason why we are selecting the buttons here. And again, too, after you add event on the button and you click on it, you said you want to update this value. How do you have access to this particular value? That's the reason why we are selecting this counter here. So after we've gotten all our elements in JavaScript, the next thing is for us to add the event on this one. And when that event occur, then we carry out the operation that we want to do. And what is the operation there? For this up, it will increase the value once again. For this up, it will increase the value. And when you click on this button here, it will decrease the value. So we've targeted all these elements from our JavaScript. The next thing is for us to add events. And I told you, anytime you want to add event on your element, what do you need to use? You are going to add the element, then followed by this add event listener. Then by the time you call this, there are two things you need to supply to it: the event that you want to listen for, and again the callback, which is the function that you want to run. So this is how you are going to add events. So when you want to add event to any element, you have the element followed by the dot, then followed by this event listener. Then here you supply the event that you want to listen for that element. As you can see here, the element we want to listen for here is click, and that's the reason why I'm putting click here, which I can just call it the name like this. So you're going to put the name of the event, and when this event occur, what do you want to do? That's whatever you pass here. So whatever you pass here, which is the function that you'll be passing at this place, is what you want to run anytime this particular event occur on this element. And what is our element here now? Our element is this btn up and btn down. So we just need to attach the event. So let's start with the first button, and we're going to do it for the second one too. So we have this button up. So this button up, we need to add event listener on it. And what type of event do you want to listen for? We want to listen for click events. So what we are saying here is that anytime this button is click, we want to do something. What do you want to do? Whatever function or the callback that you are passing here. So whatever function you are passing here, that's what you want to do anytime this event occur. So what we are saying here is that anytime this event occur, we want to fire this function. But right now, as you can see, I'm using function keyword, but this is not the only way you can do it. I mentioned the other ways that you can use last class there. So if you check the video, you are going to see this in there. So you can either use this function keyword or you can use the arrow function. But I always use this arrow function because it's kind of a shorter compared to that other one there like that. And don't forget, this whatever callback that you are using here, we always receive the event that occur. Even though right now we don't need it like that, but this thing we are going to use it later on when we are dealing with this one here. But right now we don't need it, so we can remove it because it's something that JavaScript is going to send to this your function anytime this event occur. And I told you that this event is the one that holds information about the event that occurred, like the type of the event, who triggered the event, where did you attach the event on, and some other information about that event. But right now I don't need it because everything that I need are here. So I have the counter that I want to update, so I don't need to depend on the event there. But later on, when we are dealing with this one, we're going to depend on this event. But here I don't need it at all. And what do we want to do? So what we said we want to do here is that anytime this button is clicked, we want to change the value of this span, which is the counter that we're calling here. So whatever value that is here, we want to increase it by 1. But before I do that one, let's just see this simple stuff here. So anytime this thing is clicked, so what I just want to do is that the counter inner HTML, by now you know what this thing means there, because it's changing the content. And what I want to do, I just want to change the value to 5. So currently here now, it's not going to increase. What we just want to do is that, what this one is going to do is that once you click on this button, it will just change the value to 5. That's not what we want, but we are starting from the basic stuff so that We don't just jump into the final solution and things will not look like what's going on here. So what did I just do here? We target all our elements there. So we select this our counter, which is the span on the screen there. Then we target this our two buttons, which is what we need to click and add the event on. And what did we do here on line 8? So what I'm doing here is that anytime this button is clicked, which is the event that I pass here, the type of the event, I want to run this my function here. Whatever you are passing here is what this thing is going to call. And this thing has to be a function. And that's what we call callback. And I mentioned what is callback are there, which is a function that you are passing to another function. And here I'm passing this function into it. So this stuff here, it will only perform this action when this button is clicked. So if I save it, you're not going to see anything like 5 on the screen until this event occur. And when is this event going to occur is when you click on the button, because we are adding the event on the button. Or if I click on this down one, nothing will happen because we are not attaching anything to it, but we only attach this into one. And if I click on this one now, we should kind of see 5 on the screen, but I'm not seeing anything there. So which means something is going on there. Let me reload first and click on it again because I'm not seeing anything. So which means something is wrong with our selection or something is going on. So how do we see what is going on? So we can open our DevTools so that we can see what the browser is telling us. Is there any error? If there is any error, we are going to get it here, and if there is no error, then we are not going to see anything. So let me activate my error level. Okay, it's there, and let me click on my button, and I'm still not seeing anything changing here like that. So let me console log out what is going on. So what do we have? We have this counter, which is going to be our element there, and this element we are setting is inner HTML to 5. And where are we not seeing the value? So in order for us to see that this thing is actually working, so let me just console log out this object. And once this, we'll go back to the screen, click on the button, and as you can see, I'm not getting anything. So which means this thing is not targeting this element. So let me check the class. Let me check what we're using to select this thing again. So we have this btn up because it's not adding, it's not getting here at all. So it's not getting here at all. So let me see. We have this btn up document query selector. We have our btn up, and let me console log out this btn up and see what we are getting back from it. Is it giving us the element or not? And I'm not seeing anything. What's going on? Oh, it will never work. I've seen the problem. So it will never work. It will never work. Why is it not working? If you check the HTML, we've not included our JavaScript file. We are working on JavaScript, but the only thing that we have inside our HTML is just our CSS. We're only linking to CSS. We are not linking to JavaScript added. And that's the reason why it's not showing, because all this console log is supposed to come outside there, but I'm not seeing anything. So, and the only thing that can cause that is that these two files are not connected together. So in order for this thing to work, don't forget, you need to connect your JavaScript. So if I go back to this index that we're using before, and if I scroll down, you see that at the bottom part, we actually have a script that is connecting to index.js. But if you look at the one that we're working on right now, there is nothing like that here. So which means the two files doesn't know about each other. And that's the reason why we are not seeing anything on the screen. So in order for this thing to work, we need to connect our JavaScript. Forgot to do that because I thought I've done it when I was doing this CSS one. So what do we need to do? So in order for this thing to work, we need to call our script. And on this script, we need to supply the source since we are connecting to external JavaScript. And if you see the folder structure, you see that the two files are inside the same folder. So since they are inside the same folder, we just need to mention the name of the file there. and it is going to connect them together. Now if I save it and go back to the page, everything should work. And as you can see now, it's saying cannot reach property of null, because one of the value we are selecting there, that means it's not getting it there. So let me console log out this btn, because it means it can't find this btn up there like that. So let me console log this btn up and save it and go back to the screen, and we're getting a value back on null. If you get null, as you can see, it means it cannot find the element that we are looking for on the page. So how can we solve this? So what we can do here is to look out how we are selecting the stuff. So what do I have here? So I have this btn, then I have up. Is that not the same name that I have on it? So look at what we have here. We have up btn, but what are we selecting from JavaScript? We are selecting btn up. So there is a mix here in the naming there. So what we're supposed to have is btn up, but in the JavaScript in the HTML, what we have is up btn. So they are not the same thing. So we need to update the name there. So it's not supposed to be btn up, but it's supposed to be up btn. The same thing here too. It should be down btn. And if I save it, we shouldn't have any error again. So and yeah, as you can see, it's targeting our button. Before, what we have is btn up, but inside the HTML, what is here is up btn. So they are not the same thing. Btn up and up btn are not the same. So you need to use the correct name that you're using here, because that's what we are doing. You are targeting the element, and we say we are selecting this particular element from our HTML. So look for any element that have this particular ID here. But the ID we are using before is not the same thing as what we have on the HTML side there, and that's the reason why it's not seeing the element. But now if we save the code and if we click on this button up now, can you see it will update the value? And what is going on here? What did we just do here? What we did is that we select our button first. After selecting our button, we target this our counter, because that's what we want to update. And since we want to update its value, we don't just want to do it like that. What we want this to happen is when we click on the button, it should kind of change the value to 5. And how is this thing going to happen? So you need to add events on the elements that you want there. And which element do we need to add the event on? Is the button, because it's the one that needs to trigger the action. And since it's the button that is going to trigger the action, we need to add the event. But what type of events do you want to listen for on this element? Don't forget, we have different events that you can listen for on your button or any element on the screen. So it's not left for you to pick the one that you want. But here now, the one we are listening for is the click event. And that's what we are doing here on line 8. So what I'm doing there is that anytime this button is clicked, which is this event name, we want to run this function. And what are we doing inside this function? We are this counter that we targeted here, we are changing its inner HTML to 5. So which means anytime you click on this button, it will always set it to 5. And that is why you see that it's just 5 like this, because 5 is 5. It's changing it, but your eyes will not see that this thing is actually changing, because it's the same value. And that's the reason why we want this thing to increase the value by 1, not that it will just set it to a particular value. It will get whatever that is here before, then it will now increase it by 1. And once it increase it by 1, then it will set it into this particular counter again. So how do we get what is inside it? We talked about this. I told you that anytime you are using something like this, it will give you the value. But anytime you use this assignment, then it will update the value. When you use this assignment operator in front of inner HTML, it will update the value. But if you don't do it like this, then it will give you the value. So doing it like this give you the value. Then putting stuff in front of it, putting the assignment operator in front of it, we update the value. So we need to be able to get the old value, which means that whatever value that is there before, we need to get it. Then we now increase that value by 1. So how do we get the value that is here? So I'm going to create a variable for that. So I'm going to create a const here, which is going to be this old value. I'm calling it old value. You can call it anything, which is going to give me whatever that is inside this inner HTML there like that. And what do we want to do? So again, whatever that is there before, we want to update it into another value. And what do you want to do? We want to increase old value by 1. But this one will never work. For now, let me remove that plus because I want to explain what is going on here. So if you look at it now, what do we have here? Old value plus what? Plus 1. But this thing will not work the way you're expecting it to work because of something that I've explained before where we are talking about these operators. So all these things, they used to come together. And that's the reason why I have to explain them that time. But let me save it first so that you see what I'm talking about. What we are saying here is that, okay, what you'll be expecting that, the old value is 0, which is what we are getting here. So it's going to give us 0. Then what are we now doing? We're adding 0 plus 1. So which means on the screen, you'll be expecting this thing to change to 1. But now if I click on it, you see that it's doing something else. Why are we getting 0, 1 instead of 1? Again, let me click plus again. Can you see what it's doing? So which means the job is just doing is whatever that is there before is just adding them, like not adding, we call it concatenate here, or is joining them together. Why? I told you the way this plus work when you are dealing with string. If you still remember, when we are talking about our operators, I told you that when you are using plus with number, you are going to get your normal mathematics calculation there. So here now, if you do 2 plus 1, like 0 plus 1, you are getting 1. So if you do 1 plus 1, you are getting 2. But what we are getting from the screen, they are not number. What is coming back is a string. I told you whatever you be getting on the screen, even though it looks like number, it's not number, it's just string. So which means what you're actually getting back is this, and you are now adding 1 to it. Can you see what is added? It will the next time the value is now 0, 1. So what you get here is still this 1 again, then you are now adding 1 to it. Can you see that it's giving us like that? So this is what is happening behind the scene. What you're actually getting back is not number. What you are getting back is just string. So we need to convert the value here first. Like whatever you are getting from the screen, we need to convert it to number before you add them together. And how do you convert to number? So JavaScript make this thing easier for us too. To convert to a number, just pass any string into this number here, and it will help you to convert it to number. If it's something that I can convert, if you pass something that I cannot convert, it will give you nan there like that, and I will explain what is that nan. So there, for example, here now, if I pass string, as you can see, it's converted to a proper number. So this one here is not the same thing as this. They are not the same. So this one is string, while this one is your normal one that in the number there. So when there is no quote, that is a number, and when it is inside a quote, that is a string. And whatever you be getting from the string here, you won't get the number directly. What you always get back is string. And since you are getting string back, we need to convert it to a proper number. And how do you convert it to a number? You call this one here that JavaScript is giving to us. Pass whatever number you want to convert to a proper number there, and as you can see, it's returning it back without a quote, and that's what we need to do there. There's another way of doing it, which is a simple way. Just put plus in front of it. For example, here, if I put plus in front of this one, it will do the same thing as what this line is doing there, and that's what we're supposed to do here. Because whatever you are getting back here will never be normal number that you'll be expecting. It's going to be a string, and string is just text. So we need to convert the text into number. And how do you convert it to number? Then just pass whatever you are getting back into this one. And once you get it back, just know that what you are getting back now, can you see? It's not telling you that it is what? Number. But before this stuff here, if I go back there, can you see what it's saying? It says it is a string. Whatever you are getting back from the screen is always this string. Even though it's number to you, but it will come back as a string. So in order for you to get the actual number that is here, you need to convert it. And this conversion here, this is what you are going to use. This constructor, we'll call this a constructor. Just pass any value there, and as you can see, it will convert whatever you pass into it to what? Number. So if it's a valid number, it will convert it. If it's not a valid number, it will not convert it. For example, now if I put a letter here, can you see what is now returning? Because there's no way to convert this ASDA to number. So since it can't convert this one, is returning what? Nan. And what is nan? Nan is just not a number. That's just the full meaning of this thing. So now, anytime you get it, means whatever you are putting it to number is not a valid number. That's what that thing is saying there, like that. So now our application should start working again the way we are expecting it to work. And if I move this thing back to the way it's supposed to be, and save the code, and go back to the screen, then click on this, as you can see, it's now working the way. So now you see this one as 1. So the next time we click on it, it will take the value, convert it to number, then add 1 to it. So if you click on it now, it will change to 2. If you click on it, it will change it to 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth, like that. I hope you are here. Oh. I can hear your voice saying so.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm here,
I'm
sir.
here,
I'm
sir.
here.
I'm here.
Okay. So this is what this thing is doing here. So the number is just to help us to convert what we are getting back from the screen to a proper number, because what you'll be getting back is just a text. For example, here now, if I console log the counter, so if I console log the counter.inner.html, you see that it is just inner HTML like this. And if I save it, go back to the screen, open this thing again, open the console, you see that what is coming back is not number again. Whatever you are getting from the screen, whatever value you are getting from the screen, if that thing is number there on the screen, when you are getting it from JavaScript, it's not string, it's not a number, it's going to give you back as a string. Everything on the screen is treating them as a string. So when that thing is now coming back to you and you need to use them as a number, then you have to convert it first. As you can see, it's coming back as a normal text. So what is coming back as a text, we need to convert it to a proper number. And how do we convert it to a proper number? That's the reason why we have this line. So I'm saving it in a variable known as old value. You can just do it directly on this line, but it's always good that you put all this in step by step, so that when you're going back to your code later on, you'll be able to read, or you even know what is going on with this naming that is going on here. So anybody can just come here and read your code and will still understand without checking what is going on the screen. So this one is the old value, which is whatever that is there before. We convert it to number. Then after converting it to number, we add 1 to it. And the value we are getting, we set it back into this inner HTML, because it will update whatever that is there. And when you go back to the screen, you see that it's increasing the value. So we need to do the same thing too for this one. Look at it, we click on this up, it goes up. But if you click on down, nothing is happening, because we've not attached any events on this element. You see the same process. Select the element. Once you select the element, attach the event. After attaching the event, supply the callback, which is the function to run anytime the event or call on the element. So here too, we need to do the same thing, so which is going to be this btn down, add event listener. What type of event do you want to add? Supply the name of the event, which is going to be this click. Then what do you want to do when this event occurs? So I want to run this function here, which I'm using this arrow function. So I want this function to run anytime you click on this button. And what do we want to do again here? Let's get the old value. Don't forget, we need to get the old value. After getting the old value, we need to convert it to number. So which we are going to be doing this counter.inner HTML here. And the next thing we just need to do is counter.inner HTML or inner text or text content, any one of them you want to use, because we are not dealing with HTML here. All of them will do the same thing. So we want to remove 1. The major thing here, that is what is just different between the two, is just this line. So this one is adding 1, while this one is removing 1. So if I save it and go back to the screen, then the 2 button now will start working. So one of them is going to increase and the other one is going to decrease the value. So if I click on up, then it will increase the value, and if I click on down, as you can see, it will reduce the value. And as you can see, it's reducing the value because it will check what is there before and -1 from whatever that is there. And if you click on plus, then it will check the value and increase it by 1 or add 1 to what is there. And as you can see here now, we are able to do this simple stuff here. It's just a simple stuff to start with. Any question?
But I'm sorry, questions I hear. Sir, so does that mean that if you add +2 to it, it will be adding it?
If you what? Hello? If you what? Yes, that is whatever you give to this thing. Nothing concerns JavaScript about whether you have two or you have one or whatever you are doing here is what is going to carry out for you. But I can't hear you. Is it your network or what? Well, it can't be my network. Hello? Check. Ah, you are muted or if you are, or I can't hear you at all. Let me pause this thing.
And you put -1. That's one more thing. Like if you add two to it, it will be going 2, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3 like
Of
that.
course,
So
now this one is
okay,
just normal mathematics. Like whatever you are doing is going to do for you. You like add three or
okay,
add two. That means it's increasing
okay,
the value by two or
two,
decrease the value
okay,
by two. So
okay,
it depends on what you put here. JavaScript
okay,
doesn't care. That's why there you are the one in charge. You tell it which element and where to update the stuff. So which element do you want to
okay,
update and what are you trying to update on that element? You be the one that will specify everything and whatever you give to it, that's what it's going to do for you. So if I click on it
okay.
right now, as you can see, it's increasing by two. It's not by
Yeah,
one again. It's because now we are using plus two, not plus one again. Even though the button on the
okay,
screen is showing plus one, but the code is doing plus two. So whatever you give to JavaScript, that's what it's going to do for you. So it's not about the text that we use here or because I'm using plus. Whatever you give to it,
okay.
that's what is going
So
to
can you put
perform for you.
one and can you put 1, 3 different value and it will still do the same?
Ah, that's waste of my time, oh, because that's I just explained it now. Is whatever you give to it, that's what it's going
Okay.
to do for you.
And next question is, does it have like topic limit, like any, or it will just keep going, or it has limit, like maybe
Let me
it
ask
has
you.
maybe
Let me ask you
50.
this question. Let me ask this question. In the code, did you put anything like limits in the code?
No, 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 no,
So
no.
that should answer your question.
All right, sir.
It's
Thank
what
you,
I
sir.
told you. Whatever you give to JavaScript, that's what it's going to do. It doesn't care whether this thing makes sense or it doesn't make sense. It's not
Okay,
about sense. It's about what you give to it. So it doesn't
okay,
check your stuff. Its own job is to perform the or to carry out action. It's just like a middleman. You give it or like a delivery man. Nothing concerns delivery man about whether your package is good or it's bad. His own job is to deliver the package to the house or to the address that needs the package. Nothing concern the delivery man about is it sweet or it's not sweet or is the thing the same color or is not the same. Nothing concern about Java to be that one. Like this thing will stop
okay,
at a particular side. You have to be the one that will do it if you want it to stop, which is something that we can do here too. It's something that we can add. So if you want to do that one now, the only time you want to increase this stuff, the value, is when the old one is not greater than a particular value. For example, here now, that's where our condition now comes in now. The statement that we talk about. So if old if old value is less or equals to 20, that's the only time we want this thing to happen. So the only time it will increase the value by 3 is when the value is less or equal to 20. The same thing here too, you can handle this one too, that you don't want this thing to go less than 0. So you can actually do it here. So if old value like this is greater or equals to 0, that's the only time you want to decrease. Now JavaScript know what to do, that when you are decreasing the value, it must not go less than 0, and when you are increasing the value, it must not go more than 20. So JavaScript will not do it for you. You have to be the one that will give it what to do, and based on the information that you are supplying there, then it's going to carry out that action on the screen. So it will not help you to stop and it will not help you to increase. Wherever you put there is what is going to do. Now if I increase the value now, as you can see, plus 3 to keep increasing, but once you get to 20 like this, as you can see, it get there and it stop. And but why did it get to 21? Why did it get to 21? It's because of the previous value. You know we are increasing by 3. So let me do it. Yeah. So you see the reason why I get to 21. So here now it's 12. The next one is 15. The next one is what? 18. So when you
18.
click on the button, it will check the old value. The old value is 18. But 18 is less than 20. That's the reason why if you click now, it will still work. But now if you click it the next time, it will not work again because the value now is not less than 20. Since the value is not less than or equals to 20, if you click from now till tomorrow, it will not work again. I'm clicking right now. As you can see that it's not increasing it because of this condition here. Because the only time it will increase is when the value is less, when the old value is less or equal to 20. But if I don't even want it to get to 21 sef, I can get the new value first. So if I don't want this one to work too, what I can do is to move this calculation outside. Everything that you're going to do, JavaScript now, as you can see now, is getting to 21. But I don't want the thing to go more than 20. So it's not going to check because your condition that you specify here is what is going to follow. JavaScript will not help you out. You'll be the one that have to put all these things together. So what I can do here is to set new value. So calculate the new value first. Then after calculating the new value, I can now say that okay, as long the new value is less than 20 or equals to 20, that's the only time I want this thing to change to my new value like this. So that if I save it, it will never get to this 21 again because it will do the checking first. It will already have the updated value before doing the checking. What we did before is that we are doing the checking based on the old value, not based on the new value. No, the old value is 18, but we know that the new value is going to be 21. So now if I save this one and click on it, it will never get to 27 because when it get here, you see that the old value is 18. By the time you add 3 to it, it's 21. You check, is 21 less than 20? No. So since it's not less than 20, then it will not even allow you to get to this thing. But if you are increasing by 1, then you get up to 20 because increment by 1 is just, it will work. But by 3, there's no way you get to 20 because there's no way you add 3 to 18 that it will not give you the stuff. But now if I increase it by 1 now, you see that it will actually get to 20. But now it will not go more than 20 because it will increase the value first. We are getting the new value here. The old value is 19. 19 plus 1, that's 20. It will check. Is it less or equals to 20? Yes. It will increase it to 20. But the next time now, the old value is 20. So 20 plus 1, that's 21. Is the new value less than 20? No. So since now don't forget, it will only do what is here if this condition is true, which is what we talk about when we are dealing with our conditional statements. It will only perform what we have inside this bracket once this thing is true. And if it's not, then you can do something else if you want. Maybe display error message somewhere that they've gotten to the highest number. They can't go again like that. So, and if they've not get there, then you can do something else, which is going to be part of your assignment. So that's what I want you to do as part of the assignment here. So what is going to be the assignment? I'm going to send this code. No, I need to send the code. No. So what you are going to do is that you are going to create something like this. And what do we want to do here? What we want to do is that what we want to do here is that this our index here. We know we are increasing the value by 1. But once the value get to the highest one, then we need to have a message down here telling them that they cannot go up. You know this one now, there is no way the user will know that they can't go more than 20. But once they get 20 and they try to click on this up again, we want the message to come outside here. So under this count, I want the message to come outside. Yeah, it's going to be a P. Then this message is going to be what can I even put here self? Sorry, 20 is max count like that. So but this message is not supposed to come outside because can you see, even though the count is not up to 20, it's still showing it. But this thing is not supposed to come outside. The time it's going to come outside is when you've click on this thing and it's now trying to go more than 20. No, that is not 20. So if you click on next time, that's when this message will now pop out. But if the value is not up to 20, then this message will disappear. I hope you get it now.
Yes.
That's the assignment too. That's what you're going to work on.
No, you will do it here before we do it.
What? Do it here, Kenny.
What's the assignment? How is it to go over?
That's it. It's just simple stuff. Okay, let me call it error message. So this is it. Okay, let me do it. You guys, I don't know. It's just simple stuff. So let me give it error like this. Because I want to style it. It needs to be a red color and the size is really big. So what I want to do here, application 1 is under application 1.
So application one, where are you? Yeah. So application one, under this application one, I have error. So I want the font size. By default is 16, so I don't want it to be that 16. I want it to be small, and I want it to be at the center, like that. So 0.625 rem. This is 10 pixels, as you can see there. Then the text align should be center. Then the color here should be red, but not this red. Or let me even use crimson. Crimson like this. And if I save it, you see that it's here. But I don't want it to show. So by default, the display, by default, the display is going to be none. But later on, anytime it's having class, so application one, then the error, anytime it has class show, then the display is going to be flex. So which means what you have to be doing then is to toggle this class show on it. Can you see that it's not showing now? So if the stuff is not up to 20, or if it's not more than 20, if you try to click on the button and you see that it's more than 20, it will add this class. But if you see that the thing is not more than 20, it will remove the class. You know, we talked about this thing last week, how to add class and how to remove a class. That's just, all this thing is just using everything that we've talked about. But now we are now bringing all of them together for our application, not that we are now working on them separately. So here now, what do we need to do? What we need to do here is that as we are doing the checking, so we need to select that element first. So let me target the element, because in order for you to bring it out or to do anything with it, you know, you need to have access to it from JavaScript. So I'm going to call it this error message like this. So document, then query selector like this. So I'm going to select it inside application one. I have this error like that. So error message one, because you know we have application two, so that's why I'm targeting it like this in case we need to do something like that here too. So error message one. So what do we want to do now? What we want to do is that if the value is less or equals to 20, increase it. But if it is not, what do we want to do? What we want to do is that we want to make sure that that error come outside, so that the user will stop clicking on this thing. Because if you don't talk to the user that what they're actually doing is wrong, how are they going to know that they're supposed to stop pressing? Because here now I don't know that this thing will stop at 20, but the message is supposed to come outside once I get to 20 and I'm trying to click on this again. The message is supposed to come outside. But right now, how do we do it? So here we know that if the value is less than 20 or equals to 20, no, we know that everything is okay. But if this condition is false, it means it's not okay. So we need to bring out the stuff. And how do we do it? So we can do this error message here. Then don't forget, we need to add a class, which is going to be the class list like this. Then dot which class do we need to add? We need to add show, because the only time it will come outside, by default it does not come outside when you have this error message, when you have this error class. It will only come outside when there is a show on that particular class. That's what I'm doing here. So when there is a show on this particular, can you see? So when there is error and there is show, then the display will be flexed. But if it is only error that is there, then the display is going to be none, which is what is there by default. So by default, we only have error. But later on, we want to add show. Once you add the show, you see that the thing will come outside when they get to the page. Can you see that it's coming outside? Yeah, like that. But why is it now going to that side again? What's wrong? I thought I put it to the center. Oh, I'm using flex. Let me just use block because I don't want to do the wall. Yeah, go back. So can you see, when it is having show, it will come outside. But when it is not having show, then it will not come outside. And that's what we need to do now. You know, I'm doing it directly from HTML. There's no way the user will be coming to your HTML to type this stuff. It needs to happen automatically based on whether this value is greater than 20 or not. So how do we do that? And that's what we are doing on this line. So when the value is still within this range of 20, like means less than 20 or equals to 20, just increase the value. But now, if the user try to click on this thing, you know, it will see this line. It will try to increase the value by 1. So once you increase the value by 1, it will check, oh, 21 is not less than 20. So it will skip this part and it will come to this side and add a particular class. So now if I save this code now and click on this,
So click on this, you see nothing happen because it will be saying the value is less than one, 2 is still less than 20, so it will do only this one, nothing concerning with this one because of the way this your conditional statement work. I've explained it before. So if you click on it again, clicking is still seeing that first one. It will never see the S because it's only seeing the what is at the top. And if I go down, then we get to 20, no problem. But now, if I click on it again, it will see like it will now be 20 plus 1. Is 20 plus 1 less than 20? No. So since it's no, it will skip everything here. It will not do it. Then it will now jump into this side. And what are we doing there? We are adding a class to this element. And now if I click on it, can you see? It will now come outside. And that's what I asked you to do. You can see the stuff. It's just simple stuff. So when the value is, when the user is trying to click on this to go up, the message will be there. But what will now happen? Can you see? We need to remove this message because now the user is still increasing the value. So when the value is not up to 20 or when it's not more than 20, we don't want to see this message. But if it is trying to go above 20, we want the message to. But if you look at it now, it's not working. Again, too, this one too is coming down to -1, but that's not what we want. So we need to adjust this our button down too and make sure that this message it disappear anytime this thing come down and the value is so what do we need to do? So here too, instead of us doing it like this, what we can do is to use this our const then new value, and from here what do we need to do? We need to remove -1, and instead of using old value, what we need to use is the new value. Then if the new value is greater or equals to 0, just update the store with the new value. But if it is not, then, and again we need to remove the error. So we need to remove the error because if you can increase it, look at it now, we can decrease the stuff. If you can, let me increase the stuff. So if you can increase it and you can decrease, we're supposed to remove the error message because we can still go down. And since we can go down, then there's no need of showing the error message. So here, what I need to do, instead of adding, we need to remove like this. So if I save it, and but the error message is not going to be work for this one. But for now, let's just use it. So if you increase the value all the way to 20, the next one you click, the error message will come outside. But now, if you go down, as you can see, it will remove. Why is it? Look at it. It goes up, it come outside. But if you go down, you know that we can see increase. So since you see have access to increase, it needs to remove it. And that's what. So if you go up, it will work. But now if you go up again, it will not work again because we got into the max number. But if you reduce it, it's supposed to remove message because you now have access to increase again. So that's what you have to do there. But again too, we need to handle this down too because you can't go less than 0. So if I go down, as you can see, we need to tell them that you can't go less than 0. So we need to have the error for that one too. Or what you can do here is to update the message that is here from JavaScript. Instead of you creating 2 elements from here, what you can do is just to, instead of you say sorry, 20 is the max count, you can now say sorry, 0 is the minimum count. So, and we can do that. So that you can see now, things started coming in bit by bit, and that's how JavaScript is. You always add features, just like your app on the app on your phone. You have version 1 today, then the next month or the next week you see that they will ask you to update the app because you're adding new things to the application. You don't just work on everything at once. You do it phase by phase based on what the user need at that particular time. When we started, we did not plan this one, but after getting to some point, we see that we actually need this thing to be like this thing needs to be added there. So that's how it works too on all the apps that you see online. You can't just add everything at once. So, but as your app keep progressing, then you keep seeing more features to add into the application, and you add it, and people will see it, and if they need to complain, they will complain. If they don't need to complain, they won't complain anything. What is this? What is it doing, Crown? Protest in Ilorin. This one is not. It's Lagos that this thing is going to be.
Learning.
There's nothing like protest in Ilorin here. That's the reason why everything is happening, like all the counter whatever. It's only Abuja and Lagos that this thing is.
Police in my area is
Police are so good. They are so hard.
Nothing like that alone. We'll get mad to
I was
do
always
protest
scared to go
alone.
back when I was seeing all the police.
Nobody get mad to do that. You won't see even if they're going to do it, then it's not going to be that effective like Lagos or so. So today we're able to see
but
how
sir,
you connect.
why is it that for this second one you did not use the if, you did not use the if statement here. The I'm
If
talking of the JavaScript.
I did not use what?
The if, the else statement rather. I'm sorry. Else.
Because that's what I'm saying now, that we need to do this one too, but we are not adding it. Maybe because maybe that time is what the network are off. I mentioned it now that there is another error message we're supposed to show here. Because as you go down, we can't go less than zero. So we need to use S here to tell them that the value cannot go less than zero. But I'm not adding it. I'm just saying that that's what you need to do here if you want to do the stuff. So I'm going to send the code. You can upgrade it or add more stuff to it. So if you want to do it, it's something like you can practice on your own to see that you're actually getting the stuff or not. So I'm going to send the code and this into the group. So that will be all for today because I don't want this thing to go more than 1 gig. So thank you.
Thank you,
Tomorrow
sir.
we handle this user event like that.